What's going on, everybody? JCR here, and welcome to our updated Super Paper Mario Any% tutorial guide. This video series is being released in March of 2023, and it will continue to be updated if any new tricks are found and implemented into the speedrun. Quick disclaimer, please check the video playlist before you start. If you're watching this video way after the initial release, there could be some updates to the run that could change the route as a whole. If that's the case, these changes will be noted in the playlist, video descriptions, and comment sections. In this first video, we'll be going over all the information you need to know before learning the Any% route. We'll be discussing things like this game's mechanics, version differences, and tricks that'll be used in the run. So this begs the question, where should you start? Well, first you'll need to determine how you want to run this game. You can either play SPM on a disc, or you can play on the Wii U Virtual Console re-release. The Wii U Virtual Console edition saves 1.5 to 2 minutes, on average compared to the disc version, as the load times are significantly faster. Next, Super Paper Mario has 4 distinct releases: Japanese, US, European, and Korean. Each of these releases have different version distinctions, so let's go over each one from worst to best for speedrunning. To start, all the European and Korean releases are the slowest versions to run this game on, as tricks like Green Bridge Skip, Fleep Ledge Cancel, Boomer Skip, and Scanner Skip won't work. Next, let's move to the US releases. US 1.2 and 1.1 both cannot do Green Bridge Skip, since the shop clip is patched. 1.2 also changes the timing of certain tricks based on the way that version runs. The fastest US version is US 1.0, as you can do GBS. The Japanese version of SPM is the fastest version for speedrunning, as you save time on text boxes compared to the US version. As far as we know, JP 1.0 and 1.1 don't have too many differences. Both are good versions in which all tricks will work. There are some important things to note. The English Wii U re-release uses US 1.2, while the Japanese Wii U re-release uses JP 1.1. This means that the English Wii U version cannot do GBS, while the Japanese version can. This makes the Japanese Wii U version the fastest method of running this game, with it saving time on GBS, loads, and on text. The one main downside to this version is a pre-caching error, which causes the game to potentially crash during the start of many rooms. When you first load into a room, the game will load up the next potential rooms that you could go to. During this process, there is a slight chance that the game could crash. As for our recommendation, we recommend that you start running this game on whatever version is most accessible for you. If you do have a Wii U, we recommend starting out on the English version so you won't have to put up with any crashes in your first couple of runs. You will lose 30 seconds to a minute on text and won't be able to do GBS, but you absolutely can still get a sub 4 without either of those things. If you already have an SPM disc, we recommend just using that as long as it's either the US or Japanese version. To determine what disc version you have, the easiest way is by looking at the inner ring on the back of your disc. You should find a string of text that says RVL-R8P, a letter, -0A- and a number. With this, you can tell which language you're on by looking at the last letter in the R8P string: E for US, J for Japanese, P for European, and K for Korean. The final number represents what revision you're playing on, 0, 1, or 2. Another recommendation is that you beat this game casually first, if you haven't already. This isn't required by any means, but playing the game casually will be beneficial in a couple of ways. First, you'll be able to get accustomed to the game's movement and key features, like the 3D ability and all the pixels. You can also learn how each of the levels work and function, and how they are completed normally in a casual playthrough. This could be useful to understand why we do certain tricks in the run and what content they are skipping. Finally, this will be a great way to get a completed save file if you've never played this game before. Alternatively, you could play along with this tutorial series level by level and get a completed save file that way, whichever works best for you. Alrighty, well, we've reached the point where it's time to learn about the basics of SPM. Mostly everything that we're about to cover is best to be practiced on a fully completed save file, as we're going to be using certain pixels that wouldn't be available on a starting file. Let's begin with text mashing. Something you'll notice while playing this game is the ridiculous amount of text it has. A large portion of this game's speedrun consists of mashing the 1 and 2 buttons to skip through text quickly. Every runner pretty much has their own way of mashing text. I'm going to go ahead and showcase some examples on screen so you can see what mashing on a Wii Remote looks like. The best advice that we can give is to utilize your arms in mashing and not your fingers. You can position your Wii Remote in a specific way, where by shaking your arm, you can mash through text at a really high level. Another important thing to note here, try your best to not overdo it. Being fast at text mashing will save time, but it's totally okay to lose that time if it means not wearing yourself out, or even worse, hurting your arms. Since it's 4 hours of mashing, you have to build up the endurance to consistently mash at a top level. Now, let's discuss some general movement optimizations. Whenever you gain control of your character, more often than not, it's faster to start off with a quick jump. This will allow you to get to top speed faster than simply walking in one direction and building up momentum. Next, let's talk about doors. When entering a door in this game, Mario, Tippy, your current pixel, and any other party members will travel to the center of the door before it closes. Ideally, you want to enter most doors at the absolute center. You can save even more time by turning around as you enter the door. Since Tippy and your pixel will be closer to the center of the door, that allows it to close faster. If you use throw before opening a lock, you could save a small amount of time since only Mario and Tippy will go through the door. Throw will stay put since he's currently in use. Mario will jump slightly higher at full running speed, compared to just jumping while standing still. Some ledges, like this one in 1-4, can only be reached when you jump with full running speed. These are just a select view of many optimizations in this game. If you want to check out a full and complete list of all optimizations in Super Paper Mario, there's a really great document that I'll link in the description of this video which goes over pretty much everything. This game has 2 different versions of the menu, the most common being the plus menu. Here you can see your current level, HP, attack, current score, next level up, coins, and time played. This menu gives you access to every sub-menu: characters, pixels, items, important things, chapters, cards, recipes, and maps. For an any % run, the only menus that you'll have to worry about are characters, pixels, items, and important things. The other menu in this game is known as the quick menu, which can be accessed by pressing 1 and 2 simultaneously. This menu is effective for gold bar clipping and is the faster menu to use for character switching, since it skips the initial plus menu and goes straight into the characters list. Due to how input delay works, the plus menu is faster to use for pixels, items, and important things. In this game, you're able to buffer certain inputs to select text options quickly. The best example is seen when the save text comes up after every level. By holding the down button and mashing 2, we can select no on the save text every time. This technique can also be used to buffer question inputs up and down, like answering the door guy questions in 7-2. This game also features a really annoying menu glitch known as double inputs. Essentially, if you're in a menu and you press A, B, 1, or 2 at the same time you press a D-pad direction, the game will process that input 2 times on the same frame. You can easily see this by holding down on a menu and mashing A and B very quickly. Unfortunately, this can sometimes happen at random points throughout the run, and sometimes this can even mess up important inputs like the codes in 3-4 or the door guy answers in 7-2. In 3-2, we'll pick up a gold bar from a chest that'll allow us to clip out of bounds. Gold bar clipping, or item sliding, can be done in 2D or 3D, and there's different setups for certain out of bounds clips. When throwing the gold bar, you'll get a randomized distance for how far the gold bar is thrown. This makes trying to align a gold bar on a wall in 3D extremely difficult and RNG dependent. We can avoid this, however, by storing our 3D and 2D positions and throwing the gold bar in the opposite dimension. It's important to understand the numerous types of gold bar clips and how they work. You can item slide in every cardinal direction plus diagonally. Unfortunately, you can't move freely while item sliding. You can only move in the same direction you held down when picking up the gold bar. For example, if I jump into this gold bar while holding right, after I switch pixels I'll only be able to move right. Let's first flip into 3D and align ourselves with the wall we'd like to clip into. This is very important since our 3D position will be stored while we're in 2D, and that will remove gold bar RNG. Next, flip back to 2D and switch to Slim. Then use the gold bar and flip back to 3D. As you can see, the gold bar should be right next to the wall. Next, align yourself in front of the gold bar, use Slim, then jump into the gold bar while continuing to hold the direction you like to clip towards. After you pick up the gold bar, you now have to open the quick menu by pressing 1 and 2 on the same frame. You can consistently do this either with 2 fingers or by pressing 1 or 2 really quickly with your thumb. All that matters is getting the quick menu open, so try it out and use whatever works best for you. After opening the quick menu, switch to your desired pixel, and hold the direction you want to clip out. If you did everything correctly, Mario should slide inside of that wall. From here, what you do will vary depending on what trick you're doing. Some tricks like Merlin Cutscene Skip require you to fall all the way out of bounds, while others like Scanner Skip only require you to push a certain distance into a wall but not fall out of bounds. In 4-2, we receive the pixel Fleep. Fleep allows us to scan for hidden secrets while in 2D. If you attempt to use Fleep in 3D, you'll automatically be sent back to 2D and Fleep will activate normally. However, if you were to stand on the very edge of a platform while in 3D and use Fleep, you'll flip back to 2D, but the Fleep mechanic will not activate. This is caused by not being on full solid ground, as you can see since Mario fell off this ledge. However, there's a very specific spot that you could stand at, use Fleep, and you'll flip back to 2D with the Fleep mechanic not activating, but Mario will still remain on the platform. From this position, we can perform the trick known as Fleep Ledge Cancel, or an FLC for short. FLCs can give weird and various effects by holding up. During this transition from 3D to 2D, we can interact with objects in front of us and behind us during the camera's transition. As soon as we press 1 while standing on the correct part of a ledge, we can hold up to interact with objects, NPCs, chests, doors, all while the camera is moving back to that 2D position. With FLCs, we can interact with NPCs from far away, open doors early to potentially skip cutscenes, pick up items from halfway across the room, and do some other really weird things. It's definitely the coolest looking glitch in the game. The most important part of performing an FLC is being at the correct position on a ledge, and there's 2 setups for this. First, in 2D, you can face off a platform and align Mario so that the very edge of his second foot is just barely hanging off. The second setup occurs in 3D, where if you pay close attention to the shadow under Mario, you'll get the correct FLC position as soon as that shadow completely disappears. While using Mario in 2D, we can duck jump at any corner and clip through as long as A, we jump to the correct height, and B, hold the 2 button as soon as we touch the corner of the block. This trick will be utilized all over the run, with some corner clips being harder than others. There are some instances where we simply time the 2 press at a specific point, and we can easily clip out of bounds just by keeping the 2 button held down. There has also been a recent find regarding tiny corner clips with carry. For a 5-3 corner clip and the 6-1 fight clips, simply hop on carry and ride up to the edge of the platform that you want to clip into. You can then hold down right, press 1 to hop off carry, and lightly tap the 2 button. You won't need to keep the 2 button held down, simply tapping will allow you to clip through since carry's hitbox keeps us the perfect distance away from the wall. For most people starting out, this is the hardest trick to learn. Learning how to Thudley Jump before doing your first run is strongly recommended. Rainbow Bridge Skip in 7-4 requires just 4 to 6 Thudley Jumps in a row and saves a whopping 7 minutes. You won't have to worry about doing insane tricks like Peach Skip when you first start out, but if you're able to chain just 4 to 6 Thudley Jumps in a row, within a 7-minute window, you should absolutely go for RBS. We get the Pixel Thudley from a chest in 3-2. Thudley gives you the ability to ground pound, and along with this comes a very broken mechanic. After jumping, you can press 1 in midair to use Thudley's ground pound ability. As soon as you start descending towards the ground, you can press 1 again to cancel the ground pound. You can tell if you got the ground pound cancel since Mario will go from his ground pound animation back to his normal falling animation. This is where the tricky part comes in. Exactly 4 frames after you cancel the ground pound, you can press A to flip dimensions. After doing so, the game will prompt you to press 2 to jump, and you can attempt the trick over again to gain infinite height. Thudley jumps are very tricky to get consistent at. Some great places to practice Thudley jumping are at the Flipside Tower in front of the chapter doors, or on the rooftop next to Cyrus in 7-3. Here are some tips to help you out if you're failing the trick. If your ground pound doesn't cancel and you quickly fall all the way to the ground, that means you pressed 1 too early to cancel the ground pound. A great thing you can do is practice just the ground pound cancel itself without the Thudley jump attempt. Make sure that you're consistently able to get that ground pound cancel, since that will ensure that you'll have a shot at the trick. If you do get the ground pound cancel, but aren't flipping dimensions, that means you missed the 1 frame timing for the A press. Don't feel discouraged if you're having trouble with this part. Since this is a 1 frame trick in a 60 FPS game, it's easily the hardest part to get down. Here are a couple things that'll help you learn the rhythm. A while back, an SPM runner named Xylence found a great stopwatch website where you can mimic your Thudley jump inputs to see what time intervals you're getting. If you use the spacebar as your 1 button and the 1 key as your A button, you can create an interval which tracks the time in between your button presses. You want to aim for a time between 0.06 and 0.09 to get the Thudley jump timing. A link to this website is on screen and will be in the description of this video. Next, I recorded controller cam footage of some Thudley jump attempts, which captures the look and sound of Thudley jumps on a controller. I also have an input display for further help. Finally, I'll link any of the resources I can find in the description of this video. If you still need more help, feel free to join the SPM Speedrunning Discord and ask questions in our learning channel. We have a bunch of community members who are willing to help you out with anything that you're stuck on. Lastly, let's talk about how to recover a failed Thudley jump. When attempting this trick, you have to anticipate that you're going to fail a Thudley jump to be able to recover it. The best habit that I can recommend getting into, after pressing the A button to attempt the dimension flip, press the 1 button 2 or 3 times. This way, in case you miss the Thudley jump frame, you'll activate Thudley again and won't fall down really far. Finally, for starting your run, you want to make a new game file and start with that. To do this, clear out one of the 4 save files on the main menu. We recommend using the top left file since it's the default select if you ever have to reload your save. Next, go ahead and name the file whatever you'd like and hit done. Then, click yes. Mash through the save text, and as soon as you see the Mario House intro, home menu and reset your game. Once you load back in, your file name should still be there and your file should say from the beginning. After this, you're ready to go. Time starts when you select the yes button on the Start Save File 1 text. The final time for the run will end when the last text box, "May we meet again at another time and place," fully fades to black. Congratulations, you're officially ready to start the Any% tutorial guide. The next video in this playlist will cover all of Prologue and Chapter 1. Thank you all for watching, and best of luck in your learning. Remember to check out all the links in the description, and be sure to subscribe. Take care.